I never thought the sound of my name being called on stage would feel this hollow. I'd spent years buried in textbooks, working night shifts at a cafe, taking exams half asleep, and studying in stairwells because my parents wouldn't let me have a quiet corner at home. All of it was supposed to build toward this moment, crossing the stage, receiving the degree I fought for, the one they told me I wasn't smart enough to earn. I kept scanning the crowd, hoping, praying, that maybe today would be different. Maybe today my parents would actually look at me. Maybe today they'd smile. Maybe today I'd be their daughter and not the family disappointment. They sat all the way in the back. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Arms crossed, faces blank. My sister, Brianna, lounged in her chair, scrolling through her phone like she was waiting for her food order, not her siblings' graduation ceremony. She had a fresh set of glittery acrylics, tapping them loudly on the armrest with every bored sigh. My mom leaned toward her and whispered something that made them both snicker. My dad didn't even lift his eyes from his watch, but when the speaker said, "And now, graduating with honors," my heart actually skipped. For 1 second, I let myself dream. The applause roared and I stepped up onto the stage with shaky legs, my cap tilted slightly from nerves. The lights made everything look golden. I searched the back row again, hoping to see some sign of pride. Instead, my dad looked annoyed, like he was waiting for a bus that was late. My mom reached into her purse and handed Brianna a coupon. "Your appointment is at 3. Don't let her drag this out." I pretended not to hear it. I walked across the stage, smiled at the dean, shook hands, felt the weight of the diploma folder in my fingers, and told myself, "This moment is mine." But the second I stepped off the stage and into the aisle, I heard it. My father's disgusted scoff. "Years of money wasted on this," he muttered loudly enough for people around him to turn. "For what? A stupid paper?" My mother stood up and waved me over with an impatient flick of her hand, like I was a dog being summoned. "Come here, now." I felt every eye in the auditorium shift toward us. Graduates with proud parents, families hugging, people crying, people laughing. My stomach twisted itself into a knot. When I reached them, Brianna didn't even look up. "Can we go? My nails take 2 hours. If I miss the slot, I'll scream." Dad glared at me. "Why'd you let them call your name so late? We don't have time for this." "Dad," I whispered, "I can't control when they call names." He stood so fast the chair behind him rattled. Then he slapped me. The sound echoed louder than the applause from moments ago. Several people gasped. A woman near us dropped her program. My cheek burned instantly, but the humiliation stung even worse. Mom stepped forward and slapped the other side of my face. Not as hard, but with sharp precision, like she wanted the marks to match. "You embarrassed us," she hissed, dragging this stupid ceremony out like anyone cares. I felt my throat close. "I graduated with honors." Brianna laughed, eyes still on her phone. "Honors? Cute. So what? Nobody cares, Maya. I got my nail tech to squeeze me in, but now we're late because of you." Dad grabbed Mom's purse from her shoulder. "Come on, enough of this. She wasted our money and time. Let her walk home." He raised his voice deliberately, making sure everyone around us heard it. "Anyone who invests in this girl is a fool." My ears rang. People stared, some in shock, some in pity, some in disgust. I wanted to shrink. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the stage to collapse just to hide in the rubble, but they were not done. Brianna finally stood up, flipping her perfect blonde hair. "Mom, Dad, let's go. I need my nails redone. She can cry later." They turned their backs on me and walked straight down the aisle, past families taking photos, past my classmates hugging their parents, past the dean who actually flinched when he saw my red cheeks. They left the auditorium completely. No handshake. No, "I'm proud of you." Not even a glance over their shoulder. I stood in the middle of the aisle, holding my empty diploma folder with trembling fingers. The spotlights had dimmed, the applause had ended, and everyone was moving on with their lives. But I stood frozen, like someone had turned the world off except for the ringing in my ears. A little girl tugged on her mother's dress near me. "Mommy, why did her parents hit her?" she whispered. My chest cracked open. I walked outside the auditorium alone, the sun blinding me. People around me posed for pictures, caps held up, diplomas displayed proudly, families cheering. I sat on a stone bench near the courtyard fountain, gripping the folder so hard it bent. My phone buzzed with a message from my mom. "Don't come home crying. You brought this on yourself." Then another from Dad. "Find your own ride." And one last message from Brianna. "If my nails get ruined because of you, I swear." I stared at the screen until it blurred. I had fought for this degree through exhaustion, through doubt, through years of being treated like I didn't exist, and they still found a way to ruin the one day that wasn't supposed to be theirs. But the thing that hurt the most? Not the slaps, not the humiliation. It was the realization that no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I achieved, they would never see me as anything but a burden. It was then, sitting alone in the courtyard with my face throbbing, that something inside me snapped so quietly it felt like the most dangerous sound in the world. A calm, cold certainty settled in my chest. They thought leaving my ceremony was power. They thought slapping me was control. They thought humiliating me would break me. They had no idea what they'd just started, because while they walked out proudly for a nail appointment, I walked into the beginning of something they would never forget, something they didn't see coming, something they were going to regret. And it all began right there, in the sun, in silence, with a diploma I earned alone. I didn't go home right away. I walked around campus with my gown tucked under my arm, trying to keep my breathing steady. My face still stung from the slaps, and every time someone glanced at me, I felt that heat crawl up my neck again. I kept telling myself I should be proud, that I earned this degree with nothing but my own effort. But pride is hard to feel when the last thing your parents said to you was that you wasted their money and time. By the time I got to the parking lot, the sun had started dipping behind the buildings. Students were taking photos with their families, laughing so loudly it made my chest ache. I passed a group holding "congrats" balloons. One girl hugged her dad and sobbed into his shoulder. Her father kept repeating, "I'm so proud of you." I slipped past them quickly before I cried again. When I reached for my car keys, I remembered I didn't have a car. I'd sold mine to pay for my last semester. So I waited for the bus. My cap hung from my hand. The diploma folder was bent from being squeezed too tightly, and in the fading light, I felt completely, utterly alone. My phone buzzed. Dad, don't even think about getting a ride from us. Mom, when you come home, act normal. Your sister's upset. Brianna, Mom said not to bother us. My nails are ruined, BTW. Thanks a lot. Act normal. Like being slapped in public wasn't supposed to hurt. Like being abandoned wasn't supposed to matter. When I finally got home, their car wasn't in the driveway. They were still out, probably eating dinner while Brianna showed off her fresh nails and complained about nothing. The house was dark except for the living room lamp. I placed my diploma on the table and took a deep breath, hoping maybe the silence would calm me. It didn't. The calm was short-lived anyway. The front door swung open 30 minutes later. Mom walked in first with several shopping bags, followed by Brianna waving her hands in the air dramatically to dry her nails. Dad stomped in last, irritated by something he was muttering under his breath. The moment they saw me in the living room, Brianna groaned loudly. "Oh my God, she's still wearing the gown! Mom, tell her she looks desperate!" I stood up. "I just wanted one picture. Just one family picture, that's all." Dad scoffed. "We're not doing that." Mom set her bags down. "Why would we take a photo to remember a day you ruined? You dragged the ceremony out for no reason." "I didn't drag anything out," I whispered. "Names are called in order." Brianna rolled her eyes so hard it looked painful. "Stop talking. You're giving me a headache." I pressed my fingers against the edge of the table to stop my hands from shaking. I worked for years. I did this alone. It would mean something to me if... Dad stepped toward me with that look he always had, the one that said I was a burden just for existing. "You think we're celebrating you? You think this is something worth remembering?" All you did was spend our money and act like you're special." Mom nodded. "You could have just worked at the salon with your sister. But no, you had to chase your little dreams." Brianna chimed in. "You don't even look smart. People probably felt bad for you and gave you the degree." Something inside me twisted so sharply I almost doubled over. "Why do you hate me so much?" Mom didn't blink. "Because you make everything harder," Dad added, "and because you never learned to be useful." My throat closed. "I've been working 2 jobs." "Don't talk back," he snapped. Then something unexpected happened, something that shifted the whole atmosphere of the room. Mom walked toward the table, saw my diploma folder sitting there, and picked it up between her fingers like it was dirty laundry. "This," she said, shaking it slightly, "is why your sister had to wait. This piece of paper is why she nearly missed her appointment." She threw it onto the couch. "Never put your selfishness above your family again." My heart nearly cracked open. "Mom." "This wasn't about Brianna. This was my graduation," Brianna scoffed. "Yeah, and? You're nothing. You don't get special days." I stared at all 3 of them, their dismissive faces, their contempt, the way they looked through me like I was an inconvenience, not a person. Something icy slid through me then. Not anger, not sorrow, awareness, a cold, brutal awareness. They would never care. They would never be proud. They would never love me. No achievement would ever be good enough. No moment would ever be mine. No version of me would ever be worthy to them. I felt my shoulders straighten. My breathing slowed. My heart didn't race anymore. It steadied. They noticed nothing. Dad turned toward the kitchen. "Dinner better be ready in 20 minutes. Mom added, "And don't make a mess this time." Brianna brushed past me, bumping my shoulder. "And keep quiet. My nails are wet." I didn't respond, because while they barked orders and moved around the house like they owned every piece of me, I was seeing everything with fresh eyes, their dependence, their fragility, their financial carelessness, their unpaid bills, the threats behind their stability, what they valued, what they clung to, what they needed from me, the daughter they treated like trash. And it hit me. They needed me far more than I ever needed them. They just hadn't realized it yet. But they would, because this time, I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to collapse. I was going to make them face something far worse than disappointment. I was going to make them face consequences, and they wouldn't walk away from those. Not like they walked away from my ceremony. Not like they walked away from me. This time, they wouldn't get to choose when to leave. This time, I would be the one walking out. And when I did, they would understand exactly what they had lost. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just started watching. Really watching. Because my parents loved to pretend they were powerful, but their entire world sat on a foundation I had quietly built for years. Errands I handled, bills I paid, forms I submitted, appointments I kept, deadlines I tracked. They depended on my labor more than they depended on their own abilities. So I stopped doing everything, completely. That was step 1. No reminders about their utility bills, no calls to fix Dad's unpaid car insurance, no scheduling Mom's medical checkups, no filling out Brianna's salon license renewals, the one thing that kept her business legal. Just silence. Within a week, cracks formed. Dad burst into my room one night, furious. "Why didn't you pay the electric bill? The power company is threatening disconnection." I closed my laptop calmly. "It's your bill, Dad." He blinked, confused by the sentence, like it didn't compute. Mom barged in next. "My insurance lapsed. The clinic said I'm not covered." "That's your responsibility," I said softly. Brianna stomped into the doorway, waving her phone. "My license expired. I have clients tomorrow. I could get fined." "You should renew it then," I replied. Their panic rippled through the house like heat. They didn't know how to live without me running everything, but that wasn't the revenge. That was just the quiet beginning. The real hit came the next morning. I left the house early and went straight to the financial office where my parents had been using my identity for years, opening utility accounts in my name to avoid their own bad credit, signing me up as a guarantor without my permission. I filed an official dispute, provided documents, showed proof of abuse, signed 3 forms, and every single account tied to my name was legally reversed and transferred back to them, including the overdue ones. When I walked back into the house that evening, my father was pacing with 2 shutoff notices in his hands. He spun toward me. "What did you do?" Mom's voice shook. "They put everything back in our names. Everything. They said you requested it." I set my bag down carefully. "Yes, I did." Brianna threw her salon apron at my feet. "You ruined my business." "No," I said calmly. "I stopped letting you use me." Dad grabbed a shutoff notice and shoved it inches from my face. "We can't afford this. They want full payment." "That's not my problem," I said. It was the first time in my life I had ever said those words to them. Mom sank onto the couch, face pale. "Maya, please, fix this. Just fix it." The begging, the thing they swore they would never do, began right there. Brianna's voice cracked. "Maya, I'm serious. I'll lose my clients. Just renew my license for me." "No," I said again, steady, unshaking. "You walked out of my graduation for a nail appointment. Handle your own life." Dad stepped closer, but this time he didn't raise his hand. He couldn't. He needed me. Completely. "We'll do better," he muttered. Just undo this." I grabbed my diploma folder from the table, the one they discarded so easily, and headed for the door. "You don't get to ask me for anything ever again," I said quietly. "You made your choice at my ceremony." Dad's voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't leave us with this. Please." The word "please" sounded foreign in his mouth. I opened the front door. "You should have thought about that before slapping me in front of a crowd," I said. Then I stepped outside. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. Behind me, I heard Brianna start sobbing, Mom shouting in panic, Dad cursing desperation into the air. All 3 scrambling, arguing, drowning under the weight of responsibilities they had dumped on me for years, and for the first time in my life. They were the ones left behind. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.